Hello there again, my grade 6 achievers. It's time once again for another revision session. Today, we're going to be looking at letter writing once again. But in this session, we will be looking at the rules and guidelines to help us generally when we are writing friendly letters. Remember, this revision session is very important as we head towards our NGSA 2021 examination. Now, while we look at the friendly letter, we will also be trying to get a better understanding of the structure of the language paper 2. Now, you must remember that the language paper 2 is divided into two sections. We have section A and section B. In our section A, you will have all the scenarios which are related to letter writing. Now remember, letter writing can either be based on formal style of writing a letter, or it can be that of the informal style. Whichever you choose, make sure you know the format and you understand well how to use your ideas when writing those types of letters. In the section B, you will be given scenarios which would be related generally to composition or story writing. Your story can either be narrative, descriptive, it can be expository, or even persuasive. As we have learned before, letter writing, as I said, can be done based on a friendly nature or a business-like nature. In our last session, we examined topics which can be used to write a formal style of letter. It is important to note that scenarios linked to friendly letters are addressed to persons you know well, such as your friends, could be family members, peers, acquaintances, or anyone whom you have a relationship with. The person does not have to be your friend, it can be anyone with whom you are friendly. That person can be anyone who you know well enough to correspond. Now, there's some types of letters that we call pen pal letters. Those two, even though you don't know the person, you write with an intention of getting to know the person. So it's also referred to as a friendly letter. Now, friendly letters come under informal writing style because there are no hard and fast rules for writing them. You do not need a solid reason to write a letter to a friend. You can write just to say hello, you can write to gossip, or share some memory that you had. Most of the times, a friendly letter is written to convey best wishes, congratulations, even to apologize, or maybe to invite someone to a party or some event that you have. It is a means of communicating and staying in touch with each other. Now we know that today we have the telephone and all of that, but when we write letters, we have something to hold on to for a very long time, and we could always go back and read them. For some people, it is a socializing agent where we can confess, share a secret, or something that we did wrong. We can get views about certain topics and continue a chain letter and anything that pleases you. So friendly letters can also give you a chance to express yourself, your feelings generally. So let's now just go over the parts of a friendly letter. First, we have the heading of the letter. And in the heading of this letter, it usually includes the address and the date at the top right-hand side of the letter. Now, a friendly letter will only consist the writer's address. Then we have the greeting or salutation. This is the opening, like dear mom, and this is followed by a comma. It could be dear Sally if she's your friend. It could be dear Aunt Jenny if it's your aunt you're writing to. For the body of the letter, this is the heart of the letter. This is where you write your message. Remember, you have to keep your writing clear and easy to read. We have the closing. This is the ending of your letter, where you write closing words such as sincerely, truly, your friend, and any one of these. They're followed by a comma. And last but not least, your signature. And you will remember from our handwriting lesson that we practiced how to write our signature. Now let's just look at this layout of a friendly letter. Remember, this is just the format of what your friendly letter should look like. Always remember that in the body, it is also made up of paragraphs. And in each of those paragraphs, you generally share your ideas. So each paragraph should be based on a main idea, and they should have supporting details. So depending on what the topic is you're writing about or which scenario you choose during the examination to write about, remember your plan is very, very important so that the layout of your letter would be what is required and for you to have all the marks that you can get on that NGSA national examination paper. Now, if the scenario given in the examination is directed to someone that you know personally, for example, a family member, a friend, or even a neighbor, then you know that you would have to write a friendly letter. Now, let's examine a few scenarios and try to determine the focus of the friendly letter. Now, these scenarios were taken once again from past examination papers. Number 1, write a letter to a friend telling him or her about the day you were lost. Now, in this letter, you note that you are writing to a friend. It therefore means that you have to identify or name the friend. Here, the specific experience is outlined also. You are writing about the day you were lost. So, this should have been something that you experienced. Or, like I always say, it does not have to be your personal experience. Maybe someone shared an experience with you and you understand and remember that experience very well. You can change that into your own experience so that you could write about it. Or maybe you would have seen a movie with someone who got lost. Now you have the opportunity to put yourself in the place of the character. This is where all of your imaginative and creative skills will come to play. Number 2, write a letter to a friend telling him or her about a reading competition in which you participated. Note here again, this is an experience where you are the main character. So you need to be really careful when you're writing these letters. Your neighbor gave you a book of crossword puzzles designed for children. Write a letter to thank your neighbor, outlining the benefits of the gift. In this scenario, it says that you were given a crossword puzzle book by your neighbor, not a friend. And you will see how this information becomes handy for the ending of your letter. So here you already know what it is exactly that the neighbor gave you. So you can't write that the neighbor gave you a toy car or a bag or something else. It's specified here. It's a book of crossword puzzles. And so you need to make sure that you remember that when you're writing. Now, what is the purpose of this letter? You're writing to thank your neighbor. But it's not just to say thank you for the gift that you would have given me or for the crossword puzzle book that you would have given me. It also says that you must outline the benefits of this gift. So it's saying you must say to the person how this book is now useful or has been useful to you. So you outline the benefits. Now, in order for you to have a good letter, or let's say a letter with sufficient information to help you express all that you're thinking, at least you could come up with 2 or 3 benefits of this book that you were given. Now, like I said earlier, try to remember that you were writing to your neighbor because it could help with the ending of your letter. It's where you will write sincerely, truly. You could simply write your neighbor and then have your name and your signature. Our next scenario says, write a letter to a friend in another country, inviting him or her to spend a holiday with you. State 3 special activities you plan to do during this time and explain why they are special. Again, we understand that it's a friend, but it also says that the friend is in another country. So somewhere in your letter, you may highlight something to indicate that this person is in another country. Also, it says, state 3 special activities you plan to do during the time and explain why they are special. Now remember, this information is basically for the building of the body of the letter. Now it says 3 special activities. So my suggestion is that each activity can build a paragraph. So whatever activities you decide, maybe you want to take a tour of Georgetown, that could be the first activity that you plan to do when the friend comes. So you need to say more, not just one of the most exciting things I have planned for us is to have a visit of Georgetown. But you could also now highlight special places in Georgetown that you will visit, maybe sites of the different monuments we have, and then say why this is important or why it's going to be special or exciting to do. You recently attended a flag raising ceremony in your community. Write a letter to your friend describing 3 items you enjoyed on the program. Now, many of you might be saying that, well, I would have never attended a flag raising ceremony, but I'm sure at some time that you would have viewed one on television or you would even listen to one on the radio. So again, you can take that experience and pretend as though you were actually there. And you're free to write on that scenario. Write a letter to a friend explaining why you cannot accept the invitation to his or her birthday party. Now, in this letter, you are writing to say why you can't accept the invitation. It therefore means that you would have received a letter of invitation from that friend to their birthday party, but you are responding or replying to their invitation to say that you cannot accept or you will not be there. Now, even though you're writing to turn down their invitation, remember, you give reasons as to why you have to turn down the invitation, and maybe you could also add what you will do even though you're not coming. So it's a birthday party, so you could say to the friend, well, even though I can't be there, I will probably, send you a gift. Write a letter to your neighbor apologizing for accidentally breaking a window during a game of cricket. Tell your neighbor how the accident happened and how you intend to pay for the window. Now this here will demand a lot of your creative thinking, because maybe you never played cricket or broke a window while you were playing, but you can tap into that. Cricket is fun, so I guess you should be excited to write about something like this. Well, the paying part, you have to think of what you can do to help pay back for the window. But this should be a quite interesting scenario if you choose to write on this. Your Sunday school would be having a camp during the August holiday. Your friends would like to go to the camp with you. Write a letter to your friend's father to persuade him to allow his son or daughter to go to the camp. Now this is quite interesting because here you're not writing directly to your friend, but you're writing to the father of your friend. So you need to be careful with the words you may choose for a scenario like this. Now remember, these exact scenarios may not or will not come on your examination, but you may have similar ones. So you can look at these, think about them, gather your ideas. So anything comes close to this, you would have already thought about ideas to develop a letter. Now you were writing to the father of your friend to persuade him to allow your friend to go on this camping trip. Now we talked about persuasive writing. In this letter, you will realize that this is also a persuasive style of writing that we have to use here. So you have to be careful. Make sure that you find very strong and persuasive reasons that would cause the person to say, well, definitely, I will send him or her. So be careful how you are choosing your ideas for such a scenario. Your elderly neighbor has complained about the loudness of the music at your birthday party. Write a letter to your neighbor apologizing for the discomfort you caused them. Again, in this scenario, it's a letter of apology. So even though you're writing to say you're sorry, it's not just to say that you're sorry, but you can also indicate to your neighbor how you intend to deal with future situations. Because remember, it was your birthday party, and obviously you might have another birthday party, but let them know that the next time you would not be such a bother to them. The next scenario, write a letter of complaint to your neighbor whose dog is in the habit of overturning your garbage bin. Now remember before, it was someone who complained about you and you had to apologize. Now it's your turn to write a letter of complaint for something that the neighbor's dog is doing. So remember, in this scenario, make sure you underline what exactly is the issue that you're going to be writing about. And for this one, you actually have a letter given and then the instructions following. So you have a clipping from a letter that was written, Dear Jasmine, and it was written by Allison because it is signed by Allison at the ending. And the instruction says, write a letter replying to Allison, whose surname is Smith. Now, remember to address the envelope. You have to be careful for a letter like this because the instruction has some more specific information that you would need to write the letter of response to Allison. You would like to become Paul Singh's pen pal. Write a letter to Paul telling him about yourself. In this scenario, you were given the specific name of the pen pal, so you don't have a chance to choose your own pen pal. You're given the name, so make sure that you use it. In this letter, it says, tell him all about yourself. So this is more of a descriptive style of writing that you will have to use here. Write a letter to your mother persuading her to send you on a school tour. Like the letter to the father of the friend, this is also a persuasive letter writing style that you will have to do here. Because you have to say why your mom should really think and think and think and then decide to send you on that school trip. So you have to come up with some pretty good reasons. You recently attended a health fair. Write a letter to a friend telling him or her about the fair. Again, this is an experience that you would have had so that you are now sharing it with a friend in the form of a letter. You are the best performing student of your school at the National Grade 6 Assessment. Write a letter to your friend about your graduation ceremony. Describe at least 3 ways the ceremony was special to you. Now, since your NGSE examination is coming up, you could become a little creative and try to predict what will happen. Yes, we're all aspiring to be top achievers, so put yourself in that position and pretend as though your graduation ceremony had happened already. Say exactly what you enjoy the most. In a sense, you're kind of saying what it is that you would want to enjoy. Write a letter to your aunt asking her for a computer. In your letter, state 3 reasons for asking for the computer. Again, this is saying the benefits of having a computer because you're trying to persuade her in a sense as to why she should buy you a computer. You recently attended a Caribbean Premier League cricket match at the National Stadium. Write a letter to your friend who did not see the game. In your letter, include 3 reasons that made it an exciting event. You did something hurtful to your friend. Write a letter apologizing to your friend and giving 3 reasons why the 2 of you should make every effort to resume the friendship. So again, this is a letter of apology. More so, it's a very personal letter because you did something very hurtful to someone. So you have to think of ways how you would fix this problem and why it is important for you to fix the problem and keep your friendship. The key thing to look for when you are writing a friendly letter is to see if it's asking you to write to someone with whom you have a personal relationship with. So you have to remember that. Try to do your plan, as I said before, by outlining the format of the letter with relevant information in the body. So let's go over the structure of the friendly letter. We have the heading, which includes the address and the date. We have the salutation or the greeting, for instance, dear mom, dear Sally, dear Aunt Jenny. We have the body, which is a continuation maybe of the greeting where you can say, how are you? I hope you're fine. Those are standard things we write. Then we have our paragraphs in which we try to use or express our details. We have our closing, and then we have our signature or our name. Well, boys and girls, I hope that you were paying close attention to this lesson today. It is important that you know and understand what the question or task entails you to do. Remember, for the paper 2, it is only one scenario that you have to choose to write on. It can either be from the section A or from the section B, that being a letter or a composition. Now, remember to look out and be sure to join us for a next revision session where we will be looking at more topics and try to figure out what exactly it is that we have to do. Remember, the more you write, the better you become. So as we head closer to our examination date, do write a little more. Continue to practice. As always, I am Ms. Shamsuddin saying, see you next time.